Normal service resumes after a holiday, a bit of illness, but we're finally back. A bit later than I was hoping, but I'm here with my team review of the last game week, and then also a bit of the discussions and the important talking points that we can take away from the previous game week going into game week 11. So if you like this video, hit the like button, then subscribe if you are new, and let's get straight into the video. So all out for 91 points then, which I am delighted with, and a big green arrow off the back of a small red arrow. I was on a good run before that of minor green arrows, so it's nice to get one of those big fat green arrows this week. And that was all thanks to obviously an Arsenal clean sheet to start with, and David Raya, but more importantly Gabriel, who just impressed again. Another attacking return from him with an assist, defensive contributions, and a couple of bonus points to suit. Richards also kept a clean sheet, and also Reece James did as well on top of that with one bonus point. So it's a full house for the first time I think this season in defence for clean sheets, which obviously boosted the score tremendously. The only disappointment, one of the big disappointments, is that Saka didn't actually return for me. But he got his clean sheet point and he got the sort of 3-point minimum. So you can't grumble too much, especially when you look at the next player alongside him, and Caicedo, with an assist, some bonus points and some DEFCON, I believe, in his game, which it was just... I put him in for this game hoping for an attacking return. Did I believe he would get one? No, not really, not against Tottenham Hotspur, but 2 bonus points, 15 defensive contributions. That's what I certainly was hoping for from Caicedo. So all round, more than just luck, I think. It was a calculated plan to play him. Semenyo, no returns there, which is... It is what it is. And Jai on the Monday night, though, was a nice little bonus with his goal. A bit worried because it does look like he's gone off with a muscle injury. So we'll have to monitor that going into the next game week. But bonus points of 2 scored, and obviously his goal. Voltemada, another disappointment in. I brought him in, had him in for the last 2 weeks now, and it's been 2 blanks since I brought him in. But I'm pretty happy to stay patient with him. He has performed well in general for Newcastle, so I'm going to hope he can sort of repay my faith in him, and I will certainly be keeping him going into the next game week. Erling Haaland, inevitably with a 13-point haul again, so captain, 26 points. And then my transfer for last week as well, Jean-Philippe Mateta. Now, I was one of the unfortunate people who transferred out João Pedro, but luckily Mateta managed to match him anyway and get the 9 points. If I had it over again and I still had João Pedro going into this game week, would I take him out now? We'll talk about that in the upcoming slides, but I just wanted to add as well, because I'm terrible, it seems, at picking benches this season and last. But I feel like I nailed this bench for once, but it did pretty much pick itself, the team, this week. So I did have a helping hand with the fixture list. Let's move on to some of the talking points then from game week 10. So let's start with João Pedro then, and he did punish all those managers that transferred him out last week, including myself. But he ends that run of 5 blanks in a row in the Premier League, and could we have predicted this coming? Away at Spurs, maybe not. But this is just the way FPL goes, right? A heavily transferred out player. Everybody really got tired of really poor attacking numbers. His XG per 90 prior to this game was 0.19. But finally, he gets chances galore in a game against Tottenham, boosts his XG up to 0.36, and all of a sudden, he looks like one of these players, maybe you wouldn't buy, but certainly a player you'd look to hold with probably the easiest fixture on the fixture list currently as it stands, with Wolves at home. After that, you've got Burnley, and it all speaks for itself, certainly for the next 2 games, that you, probably, if you've got João Pedro now, you hold him. Maybe you can kick on from there. But it is just typical. It's peak FPL, as they say. Some of us, like myself, maybe won't regret transferring him out if they brought in somebody like Mateta. Mateta has some good fixtures, not as good as João Pedro, but he has some good fixtures anyway, and he is putting up the attacking numbers unlike João Pedro has done before that Tottenham game. I think next 2 games after that, I think you will still be looking to sell. I don't think we can, after a run of 5 blanks, I don't think we can sort of judge João Pedro off a game against Tottenham and the next 2 potentially. I think we've seen enough that he's going to be a very frustrating player to own. So after those next 2 games, if you still own him, then I would probably look to sell, just as they get Arsenal at home after that. So Nick Voltemade then, like I said, I brought him in myself 2 weeks ago. And he has blanked for 2 games in a run, and it is disappointing as an owner, and I'm sure a few of you out there will be disappointed. But I still feel like, a bit like João Pedro, he's one of those players that if you own him, you still hold, because the attacking returns will still be there. Brentford away is not the worst fixture coming up. There's a lot of potential for him to nick a goal in that one. Even though the Man City game as well, even that's at home. And Newcastle do put up a heck of a fight at home, especially against these big teams. And the Newcastle fans do rally at home when these big teams come to St James's Park. So, and then after that, you've got Everton. So these aren't fixtures I'm too afraid of, and it just supports my sort of argument of definitely keeping him going forward. For those of you looking to buy, I completely understand though, he's probably not somebody we should look to be buying. Just because, just off the 2 blanks, and then you're looking at somebody like Mateta, who I still think is probably the best striker pick to bring in. I just prefer the Crystal Palace fixtures on top of that as well. But certainly, if you own Nick Voltemade, I just don't think there's any need to panic going forward. Things will be fine, and attacking returns will continue to flow. 2 blanks in a row is not really the worst sort of dry spell you'll see in FPL. So another striker then, and Victor Gyokeres, who certainly had an interesting week. He's back on the mark in the Premier League, repaying any faith that managers had in keeping him. And he did get his goal against Burnley. It's one of those poachers' goals again. A big header across from, surprise, surprise, Gabriel. And he's managed to knock the ball over the line. What do we say about Victor Gyokeres though? He's picked up an injury. He had to go off at half time, and then we find out later it is a hamstring injury. It's a bit coy on it, Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. The words I have here: it's never a good sign for a player who is explosive. We are digging in a little bit more to understand the extent and where we are in terms of the injury. So maybe we'll probably have to wait for press conferences to get any more information. Maybe we won't get much information even on the press conferences before the upcoming game week as well. But a hamstring injury is never good news. It's that one muscle in the leg where you can guarantee it's not going to heal quickly. You're looking minimum 4 weeks surely if it's a hamstring. It just obviously depends on the severity. So more news is key with Victor Gyokeres. I don't think he was somebody we would look to be bringing in anyway. If you have Victor Gyokeres, again, wait for more news, but more than likely he's going to be a sell, I would think. Like I said, with a hamstring injury, it's very unlikely he's going to be ready for the weekend. He's missed the Slavia Prague game in midweek. So it's not looking too good for you Victor Gyokeres owners. Like I say, stay in touch with Twitter and wait for those presses, and you'll probably inevitably find that you have to take him out this week. So for one reason or another, I always find myself talking about Tierney Reinders. He always ends up in the buy, sell, keeps of videos. But this week is a little bit different. He didn't start. Pep Guardiola said he didn't train, probably wasn't fit enough to start. He was on the bench. He did come on inevitably. But like I've said for weeks now, I think we all know he's not a good pick, but explaining why he's not a good pick I think it's pretty simple, is that he doesn't offer enough in attack. He's not in those attacking positions. And with a player like Rodri out, they rely on somebody like Reinders to sit a little bit deeper, which obviously does not help his attacking threat. But you've also got a player in Tierney Reinders who doesn't really offer enough in defensive contributions terms to sort of warrant him keeping him as one of those defensive midfield contribution monsters. So he's an obvious sell for me, and you know there's plenty of there's players in that price range or a little bit above that I would happily look to sort of switch him to. Saying that, if you don't have the money, you could easily downgrade him and save money. Somebody like Granit Xhaka, who obviously scored for Sunderland, and he is very, very consistent for defensive contributions. So something like that may be a better alternative, but certainly somebody we should be looking to get rid of in the near future. Well, immediately. But caveat that with, I don't think there's any rush, because more than likely you can bench him anyway. And if there's other problems in your team, if you're trying to save a few transfers, I can understand just sticking him on the bench and just keeping him on there until you have a sort of the perfect opportunity to get rid of him. So just a few more notes I wanted to add and discuss. First of all, the Liverpool win. So they've beaten Aston Villa 2-0, and then also they've gone in midweek and beaten Real Madrid 1-0. And things are starting to look a bit more rosy at Liverpool, and things are starting to begin to turn round. And then you can look at somebody like Mo Salah. I think the performances are sort of turning for him. He's looking a lot better. He's 2-2 in the Premier League. And a surprising one as well, that's his first, he's only just 10 points, but it's his first double digits points tally of the season in a game. His best one before that was the 9 points against Burnley. He's obviously somebody very difficult to get in your teams because of the price point and the essential nature of owning Erling Haaland. But if we can, maybe there's a free hit round the corner for some of us, and you can get him in certainly in the next few games using that. But once you get this Manchester City fixture out the way, I'm looking at the fixtures here, and you've got Nottingham Forest at home, West Ham away, and Sunderland at home, Leeds away after that. So Liverpool have a really, really good fixture run coming the other side of Man City. So not even just Salah, we can maybe look to some Liverpool assets a bit more favourably. Certainly somebody like a Van Dijk is suddenly a very good option again, who I transferred a couple of weeks ago out. And then also somebody like, you can look at Gakpo again potentially. You could be looking at Ekitike if Isak stays injured. It's certainly a good team to monitor. Even a Gravenberch, not a bad option for defensive contributions and an incredible sort of attacking returns already this season as well. So certainly wants to monitor Liverpool, especially with those fixtures coming up. Following on from that, we've got Welbeck, a striker I didn't mention actually, and that's 6 goals now in 5 games for him. He's been in incredible form. It's 4 starts in a row as well, which is almost, I wouldn't say unheard of, but almost unheard of for Danny Welbeck. And it gives us a bit of promise, because that has probably been one of the reasons to put us off Danny Welbeck, is his sort of injury record, the rotation at Brighton, not the security of minutes, but he could be a really, really good option. Yeah, anyway, it's another goal against Leeds, and certainly at 6.5 million, it could be one of those cheaper striker options. It could be a fantastic option at that. After that, let's talk a bit of Gabriel. Last five games, his points average has been 11. It's absolutely incredible, to be honest. I can't remember a defensive return like that. Maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold, somebody like that, did it back when he was really flying, when him and Robertson were really, sort of whipping those balls in and getting those assists. But looking at here, he's got 3 attacking returns in the last 5 games, which has obviously helped out a lot. He's ramped up his defensive contributions a lot as well, which is obviously adding to those points tallies. And to be honest, let's say the first essential defender of the season. I think you have to own Gabriel now to sort of stay competitive in Fantasy League this year. It obviously feels that way, and you also have to caveat that with another Arsenal defender, I think, to get the full maximum points. You need to be doubled up on that Arsenal defence, Gabriel being the one essential defender. And then, as I mentioned in my team, it's Caicedo with another attacking return. And if let me switch to Caicedo here. It is 3 goals, 1 assist in the league this season. He's just coming on leaps and bounds. Every season he has improved so much for Chelsea. Now, I don't consider this sustainable for somebody like Caicedo. He is a defensive midfielder at the end of the day. He's getting in decent positions, actually, as a defensive midfielder, probably the way Chelsea play. And Chelsea do look a little bit hit and miss, but they look really good, let's be honest. And Caicedo is essential to that team. But now with him being up to 6 million, I've got him, and I got him at a lot cheaper price, and I'm happy with him for now. But let's say he's just not one of those exciting picks. It still doesn't quite sit right with me, even though the game's changed so much with defensive contributions. It doesn't sit right with me bringing in a defensive midfielder. So if you're looking to bring somebody and he's not around that price point, he's probably not the sort of player I'd go for. I'd probably look for somebody like Iliman Ndiaye, who I've also got, and I really like him as a pick, as long as his muscle injury isn't too serious. But Caicedo now, it's even with Wolves next, you've got him. He's going to be a nice player to pick, but probably not somebody I'd be buying. Probably look for those more exciting picks, more attacking picks. So there's some of the key talking points heading into Game Week 11. If you did like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. It will really help out the channel. I'll be back pretty quick fire, I'm hoping, with the next video, which will be the transfer tips video. That will be out tomorrow, and then obviously on to the team selection video after that. It will come quick as the videos are a bit later due to my holiday and, well, illness really. Following that, I want to get these videos out, get back into the rhythm, back in the normal studio, should we say. So everything will flow once again. Cheers for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one.